Top of the morning, everybody. Hopefully, everybody's feeling well. Welcome to day 3 of the Stock Options to Storage Unit Summit. Hopefully, everybody's, like I said, feeling well today. We're going to jump right into this thing. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed last night's session. And as we're getting this party kicked off, we'll let some people come in, give it a second to warm this thing up. Today's assignment will be here for a good bit. Today's assignment is reinforcement. Obviously, you guys have heard a lot of great information over the past couple of days on ways that you can go ahead and set yourself up and get started. We always want to focus on the fundamental things first, right? The fundamental things to me are the most important things that we should focus on always first, right? The fundamental factors. So, we're gonna go ahead and focus on more of the fundamental factors here today. Give me a second, just make sure I have everything pulled up. Let's see, 6. What time is it? 8:30 just hit. We're here right at the 8:30 bell. Market open at 9:30 today. So just had an economic report hit today. We'll give some people some time. We'll want to take some questions here early. So I want to have an opportunity for people to go ahead and get some questions in. There's, like I said, been a lot of information, that's came out over the past couple of days. I know there was a lot of messages and comments within the chat. So I want to take some opportunity to get some questions here early before we get started. So for those that have questions, let me go ahead and get your questions here today. So for people with questions, we'll kick things off with a little bit of Q&A. Yeah. So if you could raise your hand for me, I can go ahead and get your questions. Also, last night we did drop the application. So I do want to encourage people, make sure you guys go ahead and apply. So make sure you guys do go ahead and apply. The application link, the team, they'll drop it in. So make sure you guys apply. We will be back live tonight. So we will be on live tonight. King Ramel is going to go ahead and get us right, and I will come in on the back half of that. So we will be live in action again tonight. So do make sure you guys are ready and prepared for that, because we'll be back on tonight. Questions. At 8:15. So 8:15 Eastern Standard Time PM. The Zoom will kick off at 8:30. Right. So everyone, make sure you guys are here tonight for the final session tonight. 8:30 will be the time we kick off. But 8:15 be in the building, so you can go ahead and come directly into the Zoom. So let's see. You get a question. I see someone in the chat had a question. Francis, it looks like. Yep, I see the question. Would you recommend Robinhood and Webull for options and stock trading? Realistically, I would recommend either Interactive Brokers, TradeStation, Thinkorswim, or Charles Schwab, which really you get both. You get a two for one special with Charles Schwab and Thinkorswim. So those are my recommendations, realistically. So those are my recommendations. Platform wise. So Charles Schwab, Thinkorswim. Yep. So we will be going over all of that information tonight. So we'll have an opportunity to go over that. That's why you want to make sure you're here tonight. We'll go over everything with you guys tonight. So yes, this is storage. Ramel will be going over that tonight. So he'll talk about that. He will talk about that. So that'll be tonight. Program questions, save those for tonight. Specifically about what the last 2 days here, market related questions. C3 AI ticker. AI. My thoughts on AI. Let me do a fundamental dive. I'll give you that ticker here within a second. Thoughts on Amazon? I got you. All right. So we got two tickers, Amazon and C3 AI. We got TSLA. Okay. All right. Well, we got those questions. Feel free to add more questions in the chat. I see we got a hand raised. So if we can go ahead and get that person with the hand raised, and then we'll get tickers here in a second. Go ahead and get that person who has their hand raised.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. The PDF, the charting PDF that you gave to us, could you have them drop it in the Telegram? And also, I was on the charting app last night, and I want to read it real quick. It say understanding and leveraging closing auction dynamics can provide a significant trading edge. They're saying like the last 15 minutes of the market, the numbers move and it's like an edge for you. Are you familiar with what they're stating?
You said you were on what again now? You were on TradingView?
Uh-huh.
And you said it said what as far as the last 15 minutes? It was
Yeah,
what
it
is it
says
just a warning?
no, it was saying understanding and leveraging the closing auction dynamics can provide a significant trading edge. They were saying
Um
something like the
if you could
closing auction. Go ahead.
yeah, if you could send that message to me just so I could have clear context. So
All right.
if you just send
Got,
that, drop that in the Telegram so I can exactly see.
gotcha.
Yeah. But yeah, I will drop the book again in the chat right now. So I will do
Okay.
that.
Appreciate it.
Yep. So got a ton of ticker questions. So we'll do some deep analysis dive as far as understanding tickers. Owens asked, how do we understand candlestick patterns? How can I use 401k monies for stock trading? So realistically, just to give a quick answer with that, and I just dropped the book in the Telegram just now again. Um, realistically, you're going to have to you won't be able to realistically trade out of your 401k. You will need to do a rollover of your 401k to be able to actually trade. So you won't be able to trade outside of, your trade inside, excuse me, in your 401k. So you can trade within a Roth IRA. So there's different ways that you can do rollovers, etc., to be able to trade inside a Roth IRA. So that is something that you can do. So what's really the hardest part besides getting over our procrastination? Uh, I would say, I mean, the hardest part is the dedication piece, right? So I do really believe that from a dedication piece, specifically showing up for these classes, is definitely going to be super, super, super duper important. So showing up to the classes, taking time with the information, like this is something that you can't just rush into. You need to take time to really understand the information. So that to me is the biggest thing that stops a lot of people, right? If you take a few months off and then you come back around and you're going to be a little bit lost. Um, so I think that's what happens sometimes is people take a certain amount of time off and then they try to rush back into the markets um, and don't have really any idea of what's going on. Also, TradingView, Yahoo Finance. So sticking to the core fundamental pieces and practices first. especially before you start really trading. Um, that's what I would say. So like I encourage people to make sure that they're actually taking time before just jumping into the markets. I think a lot of times people just jump in and don't really all understand all the variables at play before just jumping into the markets. So that would be what I would say and realistically stress the most is being mindful of that. So that's my thoughts as far as pertaining to the market. Um, just the information, just being able to understand it. It takes repetition. Yeah. What technical indicators are most reliable for beginners? So we'll get that. We'll get that question. We'll go over here to the charts in a second when we start to get these tickers. Well, well, there's a learning curve. So I would say, I mean, just from my experience and my practice, it took me a good bit of time to really get this information. It took me about like really 2 years, just nonstop dedication and really learning. I spent a lot of time studying. I spent a lot of time also as well. Like I'm willing to take risk. So I think sometimes if you're not willing to take risk, I'm willing to risk. So that's just who I am. I'm a risk taker, and I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna continue to keep trying until I get it. So I think a lot of times people get discouraged fast because they don't actually take the time once again to actually realistically study the information on a consistent basis. So that is realistically my main thoughts pertaining to once again how to be successful in this in the long run, and not just in a short-term fashion. So those are my thoughts, particularly to kind of be a guide and to help people. Yep. Can a person withdraw money out of their brokerage account that they put it at any time? So yeah, you can always make a withdrawal from your brokerage account. There's capital available. You can always make a withdrawal from your brokerage account. Yeah. What are penny stocks and what? So I gave you a book already. So the book is in there in the Telegram, the charting and technical analysis book. You also have a real good book that I like that I think helps a couple of things with a couple fundamental pieces. I want to stress this to people today is realistically, I don't trade penny stocks. So penny stocks is not um, what I trade. So penny stocks or stocks really underneath $5 are considered to be penny stocks. Really stocks underneath $10 are considered to be penny stocks, even if they're not literally a penny. But penny stocks are companies that lack institutional ownership. Usually penny stocks are investments that are 2 billion or less in market cap. So 2 billion or less, right? Market cap wise. So got those are, yep. What book is it that you keep mentioning? The charting and technical analysis book. So I'm not sharing my screen at all. So you should just see me right now. Yep, I'm not sharing my screen, just answering questions. Yep. Let me make sure I should be. Yeah, I'm spotlighted. So definitely. Where to repeat the book and where to find it. So it's in the Telegram. It's called Charting and Technical Analysis by Fred McAllen. You already have a free PDF that's in there. So Charting and Technical Analysis by Fred McAllen. Yep. Charting and Technical Analysis by Fred McAllen. That's where you can go ahead and find it. You can look at that on YouTube. As far as there's a couple of different audio reads on YouTube that you can, and as well, you can go ahead and get the book actually from, you can go ahead and get the book directly from Amazon. So Amazon is where you can directly get the book as well. They said as well, they put it in school for you as well. So you got a couple of different ways to go ahead and access that information. Great people. Questions, questions, questions. We're going to get here to these tickers here in a second. When I start to share my screen, I'm done taking questions. So please go ahead and get your practical questions in now. Once I share my screen, I'm going to go to tickers and doing deep dive analysis. Questions, questions, questions. Last call for questions. What's a good daily source to find the best in the money options and deciphering which out the money options to avoid? So as far as daily source, and I'll go through this again, it's realistically, it's not I want to say that it's I want to make sure I want to explain this carefully. When it comes to your options chain, you're always going to buy in the money options, right? And deciphering which out the money options to avoid. I don't trade any out the money options. I don't buy calls or puts out the money at all, right? So my strategy is never going to have me buy out the money option. I just don't do that. So I only strictly trade in the money options. Now, from a daily source perspective, um, realistically, these are things that I speak about daily within my teachings to help people understand why we want to trade in the money options versus out the money. So we always look to trade in the money versus out the money, right? So we never are looking to go ahead and buy out the money contracts, right? When people offer you free stocks, how can they make you money if there's no investment? Can you expand on that a little bit? When people offer you free stocks, someone could gift somebody stocks. I mean, that could be a gift that somebody is given to an individual. Someone could gift somebody stocks. There's plenty of brokerage platforms. When you do sign up, you are able to get. Um, they do give you sometimes some free stocks for signing up. So that'd be, that's ways different companies offer different promotions like Robinhood and Webull when you sign up and you invite maybe 3 to 5 people. So, like that's realistically that. How do you build a trading plan and stick to it? Great question here. So I always tell people it's like you got to understand yourself and your own risk management. So on day one, we spoke about risk management wise, why it is once again super, super, super duper important for all of us to understand. Everyone has their own risk tolerance. So I can't tell somebody what their risk tolerance is. I can give some good guidance, but at the end of the day, you have to decide for yourself. So when it comes to building a trading plan, um, obviously setting goals as far as how you want to grow your account, sit back and dissect, okay, how much capital do I actually have to invest in trade, right? So some people may be at the $5,000 mark. Some people may be at the 10, 15. Some people may be at the 25. Some people may be at the 50, right? Some people may be at the 100. Obviously different for, it's going to be different for different people in their situations, their personal situations, right? So for me, what I stress is your specific trading plan should be based upon, okay, what tickers are you going to trade, right? I know pretty much most weeks what tickers I'm going to trade as of Sunday. So how you prep is how you're going to play. Majority of the tickers that I trade every single week happens because I prep for it on Sunday. Now there may come some times where maybe a stock makes a move during the week and I say, all right, I'm going to look at this stock because maybe a move happened that maybe I didn't expect, right? But I try to do a good job of examining my watch list, going through the tickers that I'm looking to actually take a position on, executing on those positions, letting those stocks hit those targets, or I get stopped out of the position, etc. Right. So either I'm taking a loss, right? Trying to make sure my losses are smaller, and then taking, obviously taking positions that I see a high probability setup and a move on. Right. So that realistically is the game plan. All right. That realistically is the game plan. Yep. What guidance would you give? Sergio asked a great question. What guidance would you give someone when charting during the post market? Um, we always want to start on the monthly, the weekly, and the daily time frame. So We go from monthly, weekly, daily. So when charting in the post market, realistically, you're still going to stick to those same monthly, weekly. That's where your main trend line should come from. So as far as in the post market after hours, I'm not putting lines across my chart from the blue area, which is the post market, unless I'm using a small trend line. I would look for the high in the post market and maybe the low, and that's about it. Other than that, I'm not going to use anything else. Yep. Define in the money versus out the money. So, Mr. Thomas, if you go to day one of the recordings, we went over in the money versus out the money. We'll do that here in a second, though, once I start to share my screen. So in the money options on the call side, in the money options on the put side. Very easy for people to understand. Yep. What do I consider to be a good setup? High probability setup, bull flags, bear flags, right? So if this is your first day, go ahead and yes, all the recordings for if this is your first day this week, I've taught every day this week so far. I taught Sunday, I taught yesterday, and taught today. So the two recordings, I would encourage people to go back to those two recordings from those previous sessions. Some of the questions that you're asking is fine. All of those answers are within there. So, yep. Yep, no problem. What time frame? 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute. Small time frames. Small time frames. 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute. That's going to be the time frames that you're going to be able to get that data anyway. From that standpoint, you couldn't get it from any other of those time frames. Definitely couldn't get it from a daily. Can't get it from a weekly. So you need to be on those small time frames. Yep. What's the most common mistake? And this would be it. What's the most common mistake that I see most people make? Rushing. That's the most common mistake that I see. I'm telling you, it took me 2 years and I ain't had no mentor. And some people think they're going to learn everything in 2 classes. So that's the biggest mistake that I see people make is rushing and then not being attentive. How you in trades and you don't have no damn Yahoo Finance alert? How you in trades and you not using a trading view? Those are the biggest mistakes that I see people make. You know, people are trying to get the results before actually stepping into the realm of putting in the work. So I would not encourage anybody to start trading until they understand the basics and the fundamentals first. You got to understand the basics and the fundamentals of investing, right? Of investing first. You got to understand what the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the DIA is first. If you are trading a stock and you don't know what the main three indices is, those are some of the mistakes that I see. Across the board, I would also say mistakes that I see, comparison. A lot of people always comparing their journey to somebody else's journey. You can't do that. That's a bad mentality to have. Is always looking over your shoulder saying, man, this person this person that. You focused on the wrong things. You focused on the wrong things. And so we got some time today. We got 244 people. We're going to run this thing to at least about 10:30 today, 10:15, 10:30. We'll see how we are on time. We may even go a little bit OT. So if you do step out, listen here carefully. Please watch the recording. Please watch the recording. Please make sure you're taking notes. And the last thing I say is that the mistake that people make is not being disciplined timeline-wise. You got time for Netflix. You got time to scroll on IG. But I'm not seeing you on these recordings. You got time for all of that gossip stuff. You're on the phone for 30 minutes having really conversations that are not conducive to growth. So we find time for foolish stuff. We find time for all this. You got to leave some of those conversations that's not benefiting you. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday. They asked me a good question. This to me, this became my life. This is just reality. This became my life. So in the morning, boom, I posted it in the morning in the Telegram in my community. Boom, I'm in the gym. Come home, take a shower, got me a nice smoothie here chilling, and I'm teaching you guys and I'm getting ready for this market to open. All that other stuff, I ain't got time for it. My phone to be on D&D and I'll get to you when I get to you. I ain't got time to be gossiping and having that comparison syndrome. I think that's a danger that happens a lot of times. People spend so much time with foolish stuff. Listen, there's going to be things we want. Listen, quite frankly, I'm excited for the NFL season. I want to cut on First Take, but guess what? First Take ain't conducive for my schedule. First Take come on at 10 a.m. But I can't catch First Take. You see, Stephen A already got his 100 million. I'm trying to get mine. So I need to be here. And when I can catch First Take, I'll catch First Take. You know what I'm saying? So that's really always been my mindset is there's going to be things you want to do. There's going to be things but it's about at the end of the day, at this point, what is it that you need? This point, I need to be here just honing in on my craft. And the last thing, and I'll finally transition into sharing my screen, is you can never feel like you made it. To me, I'm always so hungry to get back to work because I know as much as success that you can have, it can all be taken away from you if you're not continuing to sharpen your skills. So that's why I say you have to really create a schedule around this. It doesn't have to be every day. But to me, I think at least you should have some dedicated time, especially if you're talking about trading. Now, trading invests in two different things. You should have some time for your charting to actually do some of the legwork. It might require you to get up a little bit earlier. That your schedule, once again, your schedule a bit better than, your schedule a lot better than what I know your schedule to be. So it's about finding those times in those pockets. Even I sometimes catch myself like, man, time's going by fast today. But I'm like, there was 30 minutes. I could have still done something. So be a better keeper of your time, because a lot of times we'll have time pass us by and we could have used that extra hour, that extra 30 minutes, whatever. It would have pushed us to have been better. So that would be my main things. Now let me get into sharing my screen. So great questions that were asked. We had some questions pertaining to some tickers, right? So I want to take everybody through as we have about a couple minutes, and was looking at Uber today. We have a couple minutes to do some fundamental deep dive, right? So our CPI numbers came out. What were some of the resources that I gave you guys to make sure that you guys were staying on tap and staying on cue, right? And one of them was Unusual Whales. Another one was Walter Bloomberg. So the CPI came out here at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, right? So Ethereum just broke above 4,400. Shout out to all those Ethereum holders out there. We had here right now S&P 500, right? E-mini futures are now up. So we did see the market popped a little bit. We'll get into that in a second, but the CPI came out. It came out, consumer prices rise 2.7. The estimate was for 2.8. All right, so the estimate was actually there for the July consumer prices rise. Core CPI rises 3.1 year over year. So anytime you see Y/Y, that means year over year. So the year over year numbers, once again, we're kind of pretty much in line here today. So usually they're good. The CPI forecast was right there at 2.7. And that was from June as well, was 2.7. So those are the numbers there on a CPI. So the market went up a little bit, not much, but the SPY and the QQQ NASDAQ and S&P 500 both went up a few points. Nothing crazy so far. So now let's get into analyzing tickers, right? So we're going to do some ticker analysis. So you come here, you hit your Yahoo Finance. We showed as well how on the desktop version, you could do this. This is desktop. And then as well, we showed application yesterday. So when anybody asks me about a ticker, I can give you a quick way. What time is it? It's 9 o'clock. I'm going to show you in 3 minutes how you can analyze any ticker. So take these notes and make sure when it comes to, so one of the things that when people say, hey, what do you think about a ticker, right? What I want to train you to do is to never, I won't say never ask. You can ask about a ticker, but I want you to now train yourself to do some analysis for yourself. You never should be relying on somebody, myself, anybody else to give you everything forever. The goal is for me to teach you to then apply the information. There's a lot of people out there that want you to be, once again, 24/7 forever. People that's in my program, man, you guys, once again, you guys understand this information at a high level, but it's the repetition. None of this stuff that I regurgitate off the dome is just because I read something once, right? I know CrowdStrike has 249 million shares outstanding. I know that NVIDIA has 24.2 billion. I know that SoFi has over 1 billion shares outstanding. I know that Eli Lilly and Company is a low floater. I know that NVO has a major support level at $30. I know that Occidental Petroleum, right, where I want to buy this ticker at is in between $30 to $40. I know MU, the best price that I can pay for it is at $80 to $85. How do I know this stuff? How am I able to just go to these different tickers and just memorize all this stuff? Because I'm looking at this thing consistently. So the time that you take to study your film, you see in the NFL, you don't touch the field unless you watch film. You don't touch the field. Your coaches find out you ain't watching film, you go on the bench. So this is your film study. The things that I'm teaching you is your film study. The more you do it, the easier it will become. Well, day one, I'm lost and I'm confused. Guess what? So was LE, right? So was I. But the more that you get the reps in, the more that you play back these things, the more it makes sense. So let's go ahead and give you this fundamental analysis in less than 3 minutes, right? Each ticker, rapid fire. So boom, the clock starts. Let me cut this watch on now. Boom. So C3 AI, this is a company that was dropped 25% yesterday. So how much market cap is C3 AI? C3 AI is 2.2 billion in market cap, right? So that's how much in totality the company is worth, 2 billion. So what is this considered to be? This is considered to be a small cap company. Now, usually less than 2 billion means that there's a lack of huge institutional ownership. So now this is a stock that is very becoming very cheap, not just from the price perspective, but this is a business that's been plummeted, right? So 25% of its market cap was lost yesterday via sellers. Now, the term EPS, earnings per share, right? EPS is $2.24 loss, negative. So that means the company is a loss-making business. When you see the EPS is negative and there's a blank next to P to E ratio, this is a company, once again, that is losing money. So they are not a profitable business. This company is not profitable. They are in what we call the loser bracket realm, right? No, I'm not trying to disrespect C3 AI, but it just is what it is. So when it comes to loss-making businesses and businesses that are not profitable, it is about getting the best price available. These are what we consider to be high-risk assets, high risk. So now we understand that this is a high risk. Now, next we come to statistics. Second one, watch here, we at 1:40, right? So we understand that it's 2 billion. Now, profit margins. Who the hell wants to invest in a business that has negative 74% profit margins? Not me. Now, operating margin, same thing, negative 81%. So this is once again a loss-making business, right? So the company is losing a ton of money. Now, its revenue is 389 million, right? But it's reporting a loss, right, on the net income side of 288 million. So this is a loss-making business. We understand that. We now look and say, okay, well, what is the amount of supply of shares there is? This is now a business that has 130 million shares outstanding. Anything less than 500 is what we consider to be a low floater, right? So anything less than 500. So C3AI, this is a low floater business, right? Low float business, right? So I need you guys to understand this. And we're about to hit this 3-minute bell, right? So in 3 minutes, I just explained to you how you can do a fundamental deep dive. So that's step one right there. So it takes you 3 minutes to be able to get a scope of what the DNA of a company really is. We understand now within that 3 minutes, this business is trash, loss making, not profitable. We now understand as well that this business has a low amount of outstanding shares. All of that information we gathered in 3 minutes. So now it's about price. Where is the price that we would want to get this name? This is where the technicals come into factor, right? So AI, let's pull it up. This bad boy, C3AI, all right? And we always want to start on the monthly time frame. Monthly time frame, then we go weekly, then we go daily. So we drop down. We do what is called a top-down analysis, right? So we've done the fundamental part, which was perfect, right? We did the fundamental work. Now it's time for us to do the technical work, right? So we're going to pull up. And let me see here. Oops, let me go to my finder. There we go. So this is directly what's covered. The book I gave you guys, this is directly that's covered here. This is what the market phases I always speak about. So realistically, we've seen that C3AI really went into a distribution phase. So price started to drop. It was one of those brand new hyped up IPOs and price got dropped and plummeted, right? Here to the downside. So let me add these lines. Boom. So notice as we broke below $23 and we broke below $18 that the price started to pull back further. So now let me take my diagonal. Let me take, my horizontal line, not my diagonal. Take my horizontal line. And I took all the way to the bottom here and I put right here, this line all the way at the low. So if you look here, this is at the Thursday, December 1st, right? That week of December, the month of December of 2022. So I took that line. This was that low point. So right now, I'm not looking to, because this stock broke below this critical level, for one, this business is not profitable. So I don't want to be overly exposed to businesses that are not profitable. Hear me carefully. Businesses that are not profitable are always the first to go when the market starts to have major corrections. Just a sip of water real quick, right? So when a market drops, just think about this. You get rid of unnecessary things, right? Even think about just lifestyle-wise. When things might get a little bit tight and you say, hey, what do you go for first? You cut the BS out. You say, well, do I really need that? Do I really need that? You start thinking in your head, saying, what's all the BS I've been spending my money on? And C3AI is BS. Now, when you're in a surplus, listen to me carefully. You're willing to take more chances, more risks. You might spend a little bit more frivolously. Well, feeling a little bit better about my situation, you're going to spend more just naturally, right? The same thing with stocks. When the market is running at all-time highs, a lot of times businesses that are a bit more risky tend to have more success. When the market is pulling back, those same businesses get crushed. And so C3AI is a loss-making business. And we understand that this stock is a low floater, right? So it has less than 500 million shares outstanding. So if this business is to turn around because of its low amount of supply, right now the buying demand for shares is not there. There's a lot of selling. So there's a lot of movement that we see on the downside here on this particular name. So there is a lot of selling. That is one thing that is happening. A ton of selling, particularly here on this stock, right? And so this is not a stock that has a positive momentum, right? I want to make that very, 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 very clear for everybody. This is not a stock that has a positive momentum, right? So looking here, the three phases, right? The three phases of primary trends, right? You had an accumulation phase, the public participation, the distribution. Accumulation, public participation, distribution. Well, when I take a look at C3AI, it already has hit the distribution phase. This was here in 2021. Now it's really just been trading since 2023 within the same zones and levels. So it's really within the accumulation phase. Now, would I be accumulating this name? Hell no, not yet. What would be the price that I would say, it makes it attractive, maybe for an opportunity? I would say $10. So no, I would not buy this right now. This will be what we consider to be, you may hear someone say a term, a falling knife. So it's a business that, once again, based upon our fundamental analysis that we did in 3 minutes, right? So it should not take you, in my opinion, longer than 3 minutes to look at any specific stock fundamentally. It shouldn't take you longer than 3 minutes. Then when you step over to the technicals, you're looking and identifying what specific trend the stock and the equity is in. This stock is in the loser bracket realm. You don't want to buy this stock. It is a falling knife. Downside momentum. What do I mean by downside momentum? Well, now the price of this equity, and this is what we call a diagonal trend line, right? So I'm about to show you something here, right? So I drew a diagonal trend line, and you're going to see this, right? This is the part of the mathematics that in a charting precision that a lot of times I use, you have what is called a divergence. What I'm showing you is with this trend line tool, which I grabbed, this is a divergence. So I want to explain this real quick here. From 2023, you see this here, September. One touch here, second touch here, right? This was April 2024. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. And now I can just erase, boom. Look at that. I just hit that back button right here. So now I erased it. April of 2024, September of 2024. We almost got here April of 2025. And look where price bounced yesterday. Look where price bounced yesterday. Right? Right here. Hit this level perfectly and bounce. Right here, 1482. So it came off that low. This is what I'm showing you is called divergence, right? So let me go back out and zoom back out so you can see it clear, see it a little better on the weekly, just cleaner, right? So this is what we call divergence. So now, as price, what happens next time if the stock actually breaks below that $14 level? Well, now we can conclude this is a high probability setup that if that price breaks below 1470 and stays below, we could see the stock price fall all the way to $10, right? And now we're going to come downward and see price. Now, there was a question about indicators. At any point so far, have I used an indicator? No, I haven't used an indicator. So when it comes to trading, hear me carefully. We don't want to become reliant on indicators. We want to understand price action and price behavior. So what I'm teaching you is to understand the ways and the behaviors of how price actually moves. Someone's going to say, what is price? That's going to be a question that comes in the chat. I can almost guarantee it. What is price, Mr. Lawrence? Price is you have your equity. These candlesticks have formations and patterns. We have rising wedges, right? Wedges is one of your most common chart patterns that you're going to see. So we're showing you here in real time. This is the main reason what we saw is we were in a rising wedge. Of course, the company obviously had their issues fundamentally, right, for the stock price to drop. But there was also a bearish technical pattern that was set up here, right? So C3AI, once again, moved to the upside. Price of the ticker broke here downward, right? So move upward, a rising wedge, and the price broke downward. So you have what? A fundamental reason and a technical reason. The technical was a rising wedge here on what time frame? The weekly time frame. What are your macro level time frames? Daily, weekly, monthly. That's it. Macro level time frames. So what was the two reasons? Rising wedge and a macro level, once again, on a macro level time frame, rising wedge, and then what? The fundamental issues that the company had. That's the reason why the stock price broke down. Now, the technical, where did price bounce? At this divergence range. So you had 1, 2, almost pretty much 3, 4. This was the fourth instance. Almost got here the third time. Didn't quite make it down, right? But you were able to see price bounce here. Now, was this clear for everybody? Yep. Was this clear for everybody? Clear for everybody, because we're going to move on. We're going to move on now. Next tickers. We got Amazon on the list. Yep. Someone said, I still don't get the divergence. So the divergence is you take, once again, you're not going to see divergence necessarily on every specific stock. This is the case in point. So the divergence is every time price came into this level, price did what? It diverged higher, right? So this is where it's created this divergence. What happens? Just pay attention to the word divergence, right? When you hit this level, price did what? It diverged and it came back upward. So what I'm saying is that it is a high probability if the stock price does finally eventually break below this level and stays below, it's going to keep trending downward. So what I have taken now, some people see all that happened yesterday. Let me just go here to the 30-minute time frame. Pay attention here. The stock price moved up here on August 11th, which was yesterday. Price moved back up higher off of this divergence because price came into this zone, rallied out of this level. Once again, that was the divergence. Once again, you came into this level in this zone that you have not been able to actually break below for 3 years now. So that's the divergence. Price came in and diverged. Yep. So yes, off of that bounce, once again, price is not going any lower until it breaks below this level. It's not going no lower until it breaks below that level. So, yep. That's how you do a deep dive on these tickers, man. That's how you do a deep dive. This is something that you could take any ticker and do. Now, the question is, are you practicing this exactly what I'm showing you? Are you practicing when we're not on Zoom? That will show the difference between the people that understand things and not. Because, once again, you're trading and you don't have any levels. Shame on you. Shame on you. And you don't have any levels. Now, it's 9:19. So what I always like to do And these were some of, we want to make sure that we plan ahead, right? So looking here, this is kind of just some of our pre-market checklist. So right now we had a SPY, which is up about $2, and the QQQ, which is up here about $2. All right. So currently right now, what are we looking at here for Lululemon Athletica? Lulu. Let's see what she's up to this morning. Up about $2. Well, about $1 and change here. Up here at about $1.56. So we need to see Lulu. And this was a question that I believe good brother Tommy asked me, right? And somebody else asked me as well too. When it comes to charting pre-market and post-market hours. So now I'm going to line this up. This is my pre-market and post-market low, right? And a lower day here yesterday. So I need to see Lululemon actually get below this 186, right? So 186, I need to see stock price continue to break lower. Now on the macro time frames, let's come here to the daily time frame, excuse me. We've been trending downward here even over the past 3 days since last Thursday. Prices continue to push downward. So we want to watch and analyze, and I want to see, can we get this break below that 186? I see the SPY did pop. I think at one point the SPY and the QQQ were up $4. I'll get to them in a second here. Now they're both up $2. So I'm seeing down. I'm going to show you downside momentum, how to watch and view that during the pre-market here in a second. So I'm seeing some downside momentum with the naked eye. I'm going to zoom in on a chart here in a second. So this is the level. Once again, I've already got into the position. Now it's just trade management. I have to see the stock continue to break below its low. I got to see the stock continue to make lower lows and lower highs. So I need to see that low actually get broken, right? In order for the price to continue to come down. Now, some of the things that we look for, of course, is we're always using the indices. So I noticed that the SPY and the QQQ both went up this morning, right? They popped when that CPI came out. But there wasn't a ton of stocks that just took off, right? Wasn't a ton of stocks that just extremely benefited. I'm seeing now that since that 8:30 pop, there's been more selling than actually buying. So within the last hour. Now, it's always my job to come to the tickers that I'm currently in the morning just to see what they're doing. This shouldn't take me no longer than a few moments and seconds, right? So I try to find those and see exactly here. So now I'm going to use my trend line tool. And I'm going to go ahead and take this low right here at 45.15. So I understand that now I'm trying to see. This is the hour time frame. I have what we call a bear flag here on SMCI on the hour time frame. So this is the poll here from August 5th, which was last week. The flag pattern. So if I can get this break below the low, that will coincide with what my thesis is here on SM Sizzle. So I want to see SMCI still once again come downward to that $40 range. This was the ticker we talked about on the first day and on our weekly watch list. So this is the importance of doing your homework. You got to do your homework. So now I'm looking for that move to materialize when it does. I don't know what day it's going to do it. I got time on a position, but it's just my job to monitor this position here now. So I want to see, can we get below this 44? Once we break that 44, price will start to push more downward. So those are particularly my thoughts on SMCI right here at this time. So we can't get zero in on your homework, because I do a lot of this analysis on Saturday and Sunday. So when people out partying, drinking, all of that good stuff, I'm getting this watch list prepared, because the watch list is going to be ready for the people here once again in the morning on Sunday. Then you can go to church, praise whoever you decide to praise, all of that good stuff, spend some time with your family, all of that stuff. But how you prepare, what ways are you really preparing? It takes the preparation. No gimmicks, no fluff. This is how you prepare. So once again, the reps. If you're hearing my cadence, I'm going at a specific cadence for a reason, right? To make sure that people understand this process. This process is able to be duplicated. So it's learning what? You have to understand chart patterns because this is a language, right? This is a language at the end of the day. The language barrier takes time to learn. That's one of the most intimidating things is the language piece, right? Well, I don't understand what this term, blah, 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 blah. You learn that language. This resource right here, any word that you hear, I would always keep a tab up. Even now, I always refer to Investopedia, right? Investopedia is the number one resource that if you don't know a word that may have been said, you don't know what a report that may be coming out, I guarantee if you copy and paste something, like just sometimes we got to use the tools that's available for us. So if I didn't know what CPI was, come on now. This is easy money. Boom. Consumer Price Index. You don't know, this is your library right here. Look at all the information now and you understanding directly what the CPI is measuring. A lot of things are not as hard as we make it. We're just not willing to use the tools that are in front of us. You used to have to go get an encyclopedia. Now all you have to do is use Investopedia. Simple as that. So it was harder to go get an encyclopedia than for you to just take 10 seconds. Go ahead and hyper that link, draw that up. Boom, go ahead and highlight that. Put that, copy that, paste this in here. Boom. Now I know. 3 minutes until market opens. 3 minutes until that bell rings. These are the steps in the processes. So your trade management, right? So I understand the CPI is going to come out, right? Lower CPI than expected. This is something I came and said last night. So how you prepare 840? Guess what? I watched the first 15 minutes of Monday Night Raw, and I ain't cut it back on yet. So the piece that I want to show you, you think, yes, I wanted to be watching Monday Night Raw on Netflix last night. I watched the first 15 minutes, the opening segment, and I cut it off. Because guess what? I was listening to the call last night like you guys, and then I'm preparing for the next market day. So I'm doing my analysis on my charts. I'm once again, setting things up. So it takes a level of sacrifice. So lower CPI than expected, that's what we got. A tech and growth bounce could delay the QQQ 570 move, which we didn't move to QQQ 570, we popped. Once again, the CPI was what? Lower. So now, okay, cool. We expected that. If the CPI came in lower, you would see market pop a little bit. 2 minutes left, a little less than 2 minutes left until the market opens. Higher CPI than expected. Risk off, right? Likely pressure across Lulu, SMCI, and crowd. And it could help test the QQQ here at 570 quickly. What's our execution plan? No trades to 10, 15 minutes after open. Let the volatility settle, which we're going to see that. Watch the pre-market levels to hold. That will dictate if these setups trigger. SPY QQQ correlation. If the SPY breaks out pre-market support, higher chance QQQ will flush underneath 570, right? So what work are you putting in to prepare? Less than 60 seconds, guys, less than 60 seconds, right? Until the market opens. This is what it takes. Now, you can be up all night doing a bunch of nothing, or you could take this time to put in the work, right? So these are the steps in the processes. These are the steps in the processes. Yep. That's what, yep. So market, ding, 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 bell just rung. Got SMCI here. Now we can go double wide, right? I don't need SMCI here. I want QQQ over here. And give me Lululemon over here. I want to watch them early. Give me Lulu and give me the Qs. Remove these from yesterday. So we get this, oops. Let me do that. Get these low. 575 here. Let's see. Market opened up. AMD is down 171. Let's see that one today. Netflix is up. Let's see. All right. So we're here at 575. Let's see. Lululemon Athletica. AMD. It's came down. AMD is at 170. See that there. QQQ is here. You switch over. Lulu. D. So why am I watching AMD? Well, I've been looking at AMD here in the pre-market a little bit before I got on. I did see, obviously, of course, we had that report on AMD, obviously on the CPI, and AMD did not really bounce much. So I try to find some of the tickers that are showing you have relative strength and weakness, right? So you can replace that relative strength and weakness. So what do I mean by weakness? Well, if the market goes up and I don't see a ticker that's high asset allocation wise, how do I know if a ticker is high asset allocation? Oh yeah, we teaching. All right, let's go to your QQQ. Your three main indices, your QQQ, your SPY, and your DIA. AMD is what? The number 12th ranked ticker in, right? Excuse me, number 13, right? Just moved, but right here, 13th ranked ticker, right behind Cisco Systems, right? So this is what I say about knowing your tickers. I know I was 1 point off there, right? But you should know. You should know where your asset is allocated at. You should not be trading a stock and you don't know what indice it belongs to and where that asset is held at. You should not ever do that. That's a mistake. So someone asked me about mistakes. So I know that this is the 13th ranked ticker here, right? It goes back and forth between 12 and 13 right now. So AMD, right? High asset allocation here on the Qs, and it's heavily correlated with the QQQ's movement, right? So as you look at this candle, right? Look at this candle right here. We're on the 30-minute time frame. And then here on AMD, this is the 30-minute time frame candle. You see this long wick, right? At the bottom of your candlestick, you see this long wick, right? So that long wick is extending from the bottom, right? Here on your QQQ and here on your S&P 500, right? So AMD shows you that reading this candle is what? How do I read this 30-minute candle? Well, there wasn't enough sellers to push the stop price and continue to keep it down. Buyers stepped in, and that's why you see this long wick. When is this 30-minute candle going to close? The 30-minute candle is going to close at what? It's going to close at 10 o'clock. right? 10 o'clock. That's going to be when the next 30-minute candle goes ahead and closes, right? So looking here now, once again, looking here, price, doing this price analysis on this specific ticker. Want to see, do we once again come back down here? It's going to be very, 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 very important here on, we had a SPY up about $3 and change. And then we as well have AMD, which is now flat. All right. So the CPI came out. Let's see. First 5 minutes over with. Let's see. Netflix 12:30. Had those price alerts. I just got a price alert for 12:30 on Netflix. Always have your price alerts. AMD. See, looking at it here right now, 171. Let's see, Dizzle. Let's see. Strike. SMCI is still flat for today. Not really no movement there. Let's see. So this wick, knock it down to the 15 minutes. So this 15-minute candle will close when? It closed at 9:45. So in 7 minutes, all the 15-minute candles close in 7 minutes. Or we, what are they doing? $. Is that 230? Okay. Ticker BA. BA. A headache. See. right. Oil came down. Let's see. Let's see. Boom. Let's see. We'll see here. 228. We check it there. Use that thing. Come up. CCI. So what you'll notice is that anytime I'm in a trade, I always try like to keep the indice next to the stock. So when it comes to trading, I like to usually have the QQQ or the SPY on the right side, and the ticker that I'm currently maybe watching at the time that I'm in a trade, I'll pull it up on the left side. So that's just a good rule of thumb. You can do that. Just helps you better keep track of actually what's happening movement wise, because usually the tickers are going to directly mirror what the indice is doing. So it's me paying attention here now. Now I'm going to zoom out. And oops, let me get my arrow tool. Yeah, let me get that here. So at this same peak point we was at yesterday, and today, if you notice, we rejected here this morning. So notice where price rejected. So this can potentially form a DT, not Donald Trump, but a double top, right? So a DT, which is a double top. Now we want to see, okay, we came down here this morning, right? This morning we came and bounced right outside of this level. Now we want to see, do we pull back? This is the 30-minute time frame. Once again, we have a DT, which is a double top. So a double top potentially forming on a QQQ. If we don't break here, this DT will hold, right? If we don't break here, this double top will be valid. So 942. Shit. Crazy. Mm-mm-mm. 42. AMD did turn back positive for today. Let's see. Let's see. Meta's up $22 today. Today, Meta Platforms, new all-time high. Lululemon Athletica, pull them up. See Lulu, I get below that 86 today on Lulu. So I want to explain this. When you see candles, you notice how like the candles are kind of like spread thin. And I always, once again, keep that QQQ up. We'll see if this double top holds true. First top here, second top this morning. Can we get a DT? Price wasn't able to get above. We're right here knocking on the door on the SPY right here at 640 as well too. So Lululemon will tie this, all right? So Lululemon, you see these candles, how it's like skips in the post market. That's because Lululemon is not a highly volatile ticker, right? It's not highly volatile at all. This is a low volume type company. It's not a highly volatile ticker. So that's why it moves like this, all right? In the after hours session. All right, so now we got to pay attention. We're here 575. Look how quick we dropped here. Look how fast we just dropped on the SPY. You see, it just turned the dollar. Oops, we'll keep the 15. 15-minute. And let me pull up we had that QQQ on that side. You see that? I just want to put the SPY and the QQQ side by side here real quick here for a second. All right. So take these off because these were from yesterday. So I usually sometimes will remove the previous day lines, usually, just to make sure my lines are not cluttered. But you notice how fast the SPY was just literally saying how the SPY was approaching that specific level, which was 640. Why is my, hold on 1 second, guys. Let me do this the right way. There we go. So this 640, once again, this 640 peak. Let's see if price does stay a bit lower. So Apple's now up only about 21 cents today. You see, Netflix was just knocking at the door of 12:30. Now it's at 12:16. This is how fast these things can move. This is why you want to give it time before, especially if you're looking for entry into a new position, because usually like the first 15, even up to 30 minutes is going to be what? It's going to be volatile like this. You can see some of these major reversals. So by understanding technical patterns, right? Me seeing that we made this top yesterday here on Monday, the second top could potentially, we don't break through, this creates a double top where buyers are not able to push price upward anymore at that specific point. Now we'll see if this holds true. Obviously still have another 15 minutes until 30-minute time frame candles holds. This could just be a small sell-off, but we'll get the answer to that here in a second. All right. Yeah. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set an alert on the Qs for 573, just on my Yahoo Finance, just so I know, and 636 on the SPY. So I set an alert on the SPY for 636, and then for the QQQ, I set one for 573. Now, why would I do that, right? Well, based upon this action, this price action so far, because we weren't able to break above, right, and it looks like we have double top, I want to know as price gets down to those levels again, because I expect us to erase the gains that the CPI caused, right? We're here at 637. This is something that can typically happen, right? When the CPI and these inflation reports come out, it doesn't happen 100% of the time, but it can typically happen where the CPI may come out and we may see an initial pop, right? And that initial pop can bring the entire market up. But then after the market opens, we start to see a sell-off. This is what I was alluding to during the pre-market, was I could notice a little bit of things. When we weren't breaking here, I said, all we did was buyers were able to push price upward, and we ran into a resistance level. So I said there was some selling. Notice if you go back, for those that are going to be listening to the recording, if you go back to about 9:10, 9:15, I was saying, I'm noticing some selling taking place and expecting a drawdown. Now, this is what you call, now imagine all the people that when the market opened up, they just hopped into calls because they seen the market was green. Right now, they are now down on those calls, right? Just hopping in at open. So 573 was the alert I set, right? Let me see what Apple's, Netflix got blitz now, $5. AMD is still at 172. So let's see. Can we get some more? See, we get some level of rotation. So we're back at 637 here on the SPY, right? Set alert. And the Qs. There we go. See what we get. Just like that. All right. And 573, we're here in this range. Let's see, can we get all the way to, because I set an alert for 573 even. CrowdStrike is down, back down to 429. SMCI is behind. We'll lead a QQQ up. I'll be right back to you, baby. Don't worry. So let me get to this SMCI. I need to check on this. So, right? So now SMCI, the puts that we got into, pay attention. What happened? Price broke through this Monday low. I had an alert for $45. That's what made me come and check this out. So now price broke through this low, right? So as I'm seeing the QQQ and the SPY pulling back, I need to be mindful, right? About being mindful and staying attentive, because I'm watching a few different things at the same time. What do I need to be making sure I'm doing? Watching my charts and my levels. And what I want to pay, the reason why I set an alert for 573 is because buyers were able to reverse right here the first time. I want to see when we get to this 572, right? Because once again, I set an alert for 573. That alert is gonna allow me to pay attention a bit closer, right? We're speaking in the fact of now, once again, I'm watching the charts now. Let's say I wasn't, but I'm in some trades, but I need to know, right? So I'm using this example because you're in a meeting or you know that you have things that you're doing, but you're in a trade. You need to have the alert early. Once again, we just saw the QQQ drop $2 in less than 10 minutes, about 10 minutes. So we need to be able to have these alerts to be able to see exactly what's happening with the price action, right? Because these things can happen quick, fast. And you want to be in position if a stock is hitting your target that you needed it to take the money off the table, right? So let's see. Questions. 30K feet question. All right, so this is a question. How do you determine on Saturday and Sunday what companies you'll be working with focused on the week? Based on existing positions you're seeing pop in your general research, etc. Do you have a general top 10 or so? Because there's so many stocks out there. If I missed on the first day, I plan to go watch. Well, yes, we did cover it, but it's no problem. This is such a great question. I want to make sure I get this now because I'm sure other people have this question as well. Right, this is a great question right here. I want to give this individual their flowers. I want to give this individual their flowers here now because this is a great question. So we'll get the first part. So realistically, what are we doing on Saturday and on Sunday, right? So we have a watch list that we build based upon, first thing that I always tell new people to do is to take these three top indices, and to come in here and grab NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon. Start building your watch list with tickers that sit high asset allocation wise. So that's the main thing. First thing that I always tell people is grab tickers that sit high asset allocation wise. When you are taking a look at specific names, so that makes it once again easier for you to keep track, right? So we're trading a lot of the same tickers on a continuous basis. So by doing that, we set ourselves up for success because we now have a level of being familiar, right? We're a bit more familiar with some of the names that we're trading, especially if we're trading these names on a consistent basis. So that's why I stress for people to do that, is to trade, once again, names on a consistent basis. That way, once again, it makes it easier for you. So watch list wise, you take those, you have that on your Yahoo Finance. Your job is now to come to the individual time frames and to actually take and study, right? So we always do a top-down analysis. So we go monthly, weekly, daily, and we try to identify key levels, right? So let's I'm going to go single screen on specifically SMCI real quick. So our thesis on SMCI is basically because, right, the stock price broke down below last week $50, and we have a bear flag forming. We want to see the stock price get below 44. We're in puts right now, SMCI, because we believe that we can see the stock price come all the way down here to 39 based upon our technical analysis. So using this macro level technical analysis, daily, weekly, these weekly, monthly levels, that gave us some insight in what we believe that we could see from price action on a move downward. So that is the main reason as to why we specifically are looking to, once again, go short on SMCI, because we expect the stock price to actually have a reversal. So once again, a great question here. I wanted to make sure I answered it, right, with adding context. Now let's get the other part of the question, right? Right? She says, hey, etc. Do you have a general top 10 or so on your watch list? Because there's so many tickers, right? My general top 10, right? Right? AMD, right? Let me give you my general top 10. Now, I'm going to exclude some because some are probably too volatile for people, right? But a general top 10 that I think anybody could start with, just so you have, once again, names on your watch list that actually you can take and honestly trade today. There's going to be some names that I do exclude. I included AMD. I'm not going to include Tesla. I just think Tesla is probably too volatile for most people. Um, just starting off realistically, Tesla, I wouldn't want to put you. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest that. TSM, CrowdStrike is at 428. And if you ever hear me saying a number outside, that's because I got an alert. So I say those things so I can train my mind to understand, okay, where is those prices at? The more you say things, the easier things become. So that's why I do that. Yep. Oops. So this would be good. Now, I can give you, these would be good. If you take these right here, this would be enough for you. For practice, can we paper trade stock options? Yes, you can. Yes, you can paper trade stock options for sure. You could get they have paper trading capabilities on all of the platforms that we're speaking about. Let me go double wide real quick. I just got an alert um on the QQQ. You need your alerts, guys. Need your alerts. There we go, baby. The second alert, can we get that second alert? The first alert was 57350, and the second alert is 573. Can we get the second alert? That's a second alert. Alert, alert, alert. Yeah, baby. Yeah, 60 cents. 60 cents until negative. What do I mean by 60 cents until negative? The QQQ is 60 cents until it goes negative. Right? So it's only up now 50 cents today. It was up at one point. So 40 cents till negative. 40 cents till negative. Let's see if it has it in it. Lululemon 186. Bring your behind down, baby. MD is. Yep. And I also can make sure that you guys have a watch list as well. So there is a beginner's watch list as well that I do give out. So there is a watch list. My students should have it, but I want to make sure that You guys have it. Let's see. Beginner watch list. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. You see that volume right there, that alert hit. That's that money. That money's at that 573. That's where it's at. Yep. Or they're gonna try to take it down. The money, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Come on. Money, this is the money level right here. Money level right here. This is where the money's at. It might drill it right to this level too and reverse out of here. We're about to see it in real time. Could reverse it right to take it right to this level. If this level breaks, the Qs is going to that 570. If it doesn't break, the Qs is going to start to reverse back upward. This is where I say the money's at. Money time, showtime. If it breaks, we're going to go to 570. If it doesn't, the QQQ will reverse. How do I know that? Price tells me that. What do I mean by price? The behavior of price. What do you mean by behavior, Lawrence? The behavior, notice we came to this level. We sat here majority of last night, and then as well, majority of this morning, and price reversed. This is what I mean by behavior. So if price is actually able to break below, right, and we actually get a break below, the stop price will come downward, right? The SPY here in this example and the QQQ, right? Because the SPY just got down here to 636, right? Apple is still positive for today. And yes, I see you guys talking about AMD. Yep, it did hit that level. So precision came down. Was already in a couple names, so obviously didn't want to get over, but this shows you exactly here. Look at that. Where is price? Where does price wick off? 169.06. Pay attention to my levels that's on my chart, because a lot of times we see in these major reversals at these key levels that are here on my chart, right? So a reversal, once again, notice that 573 didn't want to break there. It's trying to hold. Trying to hold right now. Trying to hold. Let's see. We actually, what time is it? 10:02. 10:02. We just left the 9 o'clock hour. Question is, do we draw down? Can we draw down? We got to get below. In order for the Qs to continue to drop, you must get below this 572 level. Have to get below that level. Doesn't, it's going to rally in reverse. Start to reverse out of that level, and that's all. So notice right here, 169. Couldn't quite get down there. So let's see. Next 15-minute candle closes when? Closes at 10:15. 10:15 is when the next 15-minute candle closes. Oh, AMD is getting dumped. Hold on. Oops. 168. AMD, she's coming down. Somebody come get you. So AMD right there. And then you see once again the Qs trying to bounce. Lulu came out of there back at 188. So we see that there now. So you see how stop, well, QQQ, the ETF tried to get below. Hadn't done so far, but that's why you see the kind of reversal back upward there on that specific name at the time. So it was trying to break, but could not. SPY came back up a little bit, back up $2. It's trying to get below that level. Now, let's see, Coinbase. Just want to bring it in on the 5 minutes, so pay attention. Notice how when we're making the sequence, once again, if you price just made a low, what does it have to do, right? A lower low, what does it have to do before going any lower? It's going to need to come back up before price drops downward again. So if price is going to drop downward, we do a lot of times we see price come sit at support and then rally out and then pull back down again. So this is here. So 574 back there now. Salesforce hit 227. CR came back up to hit 226 actually. So, let's see what 228. So just like that, the QQQ and the SPY started to come back upwards. Now AMD's back at 170 here. So came to this support and bounced. So they went in the same zone. Questions before we just crossed over here. Got a hard stop here at 10:15. Questions. Amazon right now looks like it's forming a bear flag on a 5 minute. It looks like they're. So let me come here. So I'm going to come here to the 4 hour. I would watch it below this 218, 218.78, and I think you could see a pull back down on Amazon coming back to 215. So I'm a short-term bearish on Amazon here in the interim. So I expect price to pull back downward towards 215 underneath this 218 level. So those are my thoughts on AMZN, Amazon. Set an alert. Alert. See better. Thinkorswim and Interactive Brokers, the two main ones, and TradeStation. So you got three. We'll get Tesla and then we'll get Reddit. And that's going to be it. Right now, Tesla's at 333. So Tesla, let's see. Obviously, incumbent upon the NASDAQ and this QQQ, seeing what we do. I think we could see Tesla maybe get back to 325. Let's see, though. Let's see if we can get Tesla to come back to that 325. So 325.80. We need to get underneath 330. Well, we got to see the SPY and the Qs both come down. All they've done is been range bound over the past couple of sessions. So, we've still been trading here at the tops with no pullback at all. So, got to see the indices pull down because when we continue to just make highs, the trading ranges becomes way tighter. That's why a lot of times we've been trading sideways throughout the whole day. This price has nowhere to go. It's trying to discover these new ranges, but you need the SPY to really get underneath 630, and you need the Qs to get underneath 570 and start to pull back downward. So QQQ and the SPY both need to come down. RDDT, Reddit. It's hitting the 230. I think you asked me about this ticker earlier in the week. I think it was on Sunday when you asked me. But 230 is about to go ahead and hit that level, breaking out. So 230 is where it looks like it's about to go. So it's hitting that all-time high. So it's still trading pretty nicely here. So that's my thoughts on that. Yep. As I understand, the indices go up as the tickers do, saying that even if nothing has changed with the ticker, the fact that the indices going up will automatically. So the indices help with the sentiment wise, correct? So directly tied. You look at the asset allocation. The indices can't really go up if the tickers are not going up, right? So those top tickers that sit high at asset allocation, none of those indices are going to go up unless there's actually tickers. But when stocks are all sitting at highs, like Nvidia's sitting at a high, the ranges and the movements are going to be a lot slower. So yeah. Do you like to wait until quad witching to put in option buys, or is any time, once again, going back to the setup piece, got to have a setup realistically, got to have a quality setup. Right now, to me, we're kind of range bound. So we got to see some form of a movement wise. We got to see some form of movement. So we're just kind of range bound, trading here side by side. So, yep. Right. So that's pretty much it. For me right now, I'm about to go ahead and log off. We will be back tonight to close this 3-day out. Other than that, I will be in the chat and in the Discord, in my Discord community for my people. I will be there, and just some more insight. So that's pretty much that for me for today. I appreciate everybody's attendance here at this time. That's all I have. Appreciate you guys.